Hi there, Mark Carlson here. So this video, how I deal with my big ego, and I do have a big ego. So to start with, I need to tell you something. So when we come here, for the sake of healing, just imagine this. We do decide before we come here, the personality type, the body type, the family we're going to come into, and most importantly, the insecurities that we're coming with. Now, whether you believe that or not doesn't matter. Just for the sake of healing, take it on. Because when you look at it that way, you take responsibility. Now, anywhere in your life where you're responsible, you have control because you can change it when you know it's yours. If I think it's coming from outside, I can't change it because I'm dependent on what I think the problem is that's coming on for that to change. Did I get that right? I'm dependent on whatever I think is causing my pain. I'm dependent on them or that changing before my pain will go. Whereas when I take responsibility for anything in my life, I can drive again. I'm in control. So imagining that we all come here with insecurities purposefully. So when I get an insecurity, what happens in my life from an early age is I start looking and thinking, why do I do that? What's that about? Why does that hurt? Why is that problem there? So what happens is my attention goes inside, which is the whole purpose of the insecurity. Because when I go inside and I see the insecurity, I start to work on it. And here's the other point of the insecurity. When I work on it, I find my talents and abilities. I find my purpose, right? So it's through the healing of the insecurity that I get to find my greatness. Now, one of the things I've worked with in my life is not believing in myself at all, not valuing myself. So to overcompensate for that, I try to be good at stuff, but I also look for attention. In my earlier days, it wasn't about being good to overcome the insecurity, it was boasting. I really didn't believe in myself at all. So I would just brag about things that weren't even real. And my ego would inflate and say, I'm the best at, which would push people away, of course. So my entire life, as I become aware of that through my personal development, I am always, the things that push my buttons are big egos. When I see a big ego, I'm like, it really irks me because it's mine. Because I also have this big ego. Now I'm working with it. It's one of my life issues. One of my life challenges, issues is not the right word, one of my life challenges to get me to a greater place. So as I see my big ego coming forward, if I can get it, if I can be aware enough to bring it down, to see it and then bring it down, then I can heal it. If I don't, there'll be a fall from grace. It'll get so big that the psyche will say, he's so far away from the truth, we need to pull him back down. And then there's a massive fall from grace. But I can do this work. Now, you can use this technique with any insecurity that you're holding, you see. So here's the thing. For a few weeks now, I've been holding these free healing attunements from my Merlin Trinity healing system. And they've been popular. In fact, they've maxed at 100 people. I'm using the Zoom thing, and my package allows 100 people, and there's queues of people trying to get in. Now, for me, having 100 people listening to me, it's a big deal. It's really a big thing. It's a new level of awareness or consciousness in terms of me presenting. So, after the first week of that happening, my ego definitely inflated, and I have this tendency to go to, I'm the best thing that's ever happened to the planet, Not to that extent, but certainly that way. I go to this place like, oh. And after the second one, now don't get me wrong, I genuinely love to help people. I love assisting people, and I love being in front of the camera. That's part of my ego's thing. But I also get into this space where I think I'm God's gift. I really do. I'm making me cringe saying it, but it's just the truth. And so I saw after the last week's presentation, it was still great. The meditation was great. I think it was great anyway. But I also saw this side of me. So I saw the altruistic side of me, but I also saw this big ego. And I thought about it, and I told my close friends, but I thought, the way to really heal it, because the way to heal it is to get vulnerable to it. That's the key. So that's why I'm doing this. I want you to show you see, the moment I'm open to it and honest and truthful about it, from my own point of view, there's no issue anymore. I've got nothing to hide. I don't have to try and overcome it, because the truth is I've got a big ego. He's nowhere near as big as he used to be, but he's still there. He's absolutely still there, and he's always overcompensated. So the thing about the ego, just while we're on the point, when we're children, there's so much stuff from the insecurities that we came here with, plus the stuff that we gather from our family and friends and upbringing, that's disharmonious, and we couldn't deal with it as children. So the ego plays a very, very important part, because it protects us from seeing that stuff. Imagine a 5-year-old seeing that he's got a huge ego, that he's completely out of balance, that he's got massive insecurities, doesn't believe in himself. A kid couldn't deal with that. So what the ego does, it comes in and goes, no mate, you're really great, you're fantastic. So it does a great job, but it keeps doing it because it thinks it needs to keep helping us. And so the work of the spiritual warrior is to see that part that's protecting itself and drop it down, which is what I'm doing right now, you see. So I do have a big ego. He plays well sometimes when I need to be on stage or in front of the camera. I need my ego to be able to do this. But he also lifts himself too high. And by me being honest about that, open and vulnerable about that, I pull myself back down to ground. So there's a conscious fall from the ego to a place that's much more balanced and much more real. And you can do this with anything. Get vulnerable. Don't hold your space and try and keep face. Get vulnerable in as many places as you can where you know you're safe, right? So especially with your intimate partners, bring your ego down. Drop your power stuff from the solar plexus down and get to a more real place, because that's when love kicks in. Okay? Have an absolutely fantastic day today when you watch this. Thank you so much.